Breaking today, weak King Charles is putting the future of the British royal family under threat by making the, and I'm going to be honest about this, insane decision to hand Buckingham Palace to Prince Harry in just a matter of weeks after everything that he's done over the past month, including slamming the king's own judiciary, including deciding that he's going to go ahead with his battle against the British government. This, I'm afraid, folks, is a weakness that Prince William has always feared his father would show. And it's not that I don't have something, you know, regular viewers know. Of course, I understand. King Charles is dying. He wants a relationship with his grandchildren. He wants to be seen as the king of forgiveness. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to make the tough calls. You know, like the tough calls that the late Queen Elizabeth II made to strip her favourite son, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, of all of his royal duties. This is madness. The reason that Harry was not allowed to stay at Buckingham Palace in the most recent visit is he intended to use it to make a political statement against the Daily Mail and the judiciary. What's he going to do next time? You don't know, Charles. Don't miss a single update on the stories that actually matter. I'm breaking down the news every day, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a beat. Click that subscribe button right now. This reporting, though, has come from the Sun newspaper. Unfortunately, it is spot on, briefed directly by both Buckingham Palace and the Sussexes to its royal editor, Matt Wilkinson. Let me take you through it. Prince Harry is to return to Britain in weeks, and he will again be offered a room by the King at Buckingham Palace. The olive branch invite comes just weeks after the Duke of Sussex did not stay there on his last visit. But there's a big difference this time. It is understood Harry will be here in September for a string of engagements centred around the annual Well Child Awards. Sources last night, so these sources, trust me, are Harry himself via Liam Maguire, indicated he will accept the fresh offer to stay at the palace well in advance this time. But it is not yet known if Meghan, along with Archie and Lily, will come over with him again this time. Oh, great. Oh, goody. So we're going to have the will they, won't they nonsense for them not to come. But in the meantime, let's just put some more pressure on Ravik. God, this is boring. Royal author Robert Johnson said the King's gesture was a positive sign of relations with the Sussexes continuing to get better. Sorry, Jobbo, I love you, but there's nothing positive about this for me. It's not a positive sign. Seriously, who thinks that having Harry and Meghan within the fold, staying at Buckingham Palace, the centre of the monarchy, is a positive sign? It's madness. That's what it is. I feel like I'm the only one here who cannot see the insanity of what's going on, who can see the insanity of what's going on. I'm getting wound up. Charles is expected to be on his summer break in Balmoral in early September. But when Harry was in the UK for the events last year, he jetted to London to spend 45 minutes with him at Clarence House. Ingrid Stewart, editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine, said Harry realises it is a very generous offer by his father and needs to respect this time and be gracious about it. This is a chance perhaps for Harry to show his father he knows how to behave. Again, Ingrid Stewart, lovely woman, establishment mouthpiece for the royal family, huge respect for her. But Ingrid, wake up. I'm sorry, wake up. Harry doesn't know how to behave. Like, what more is it going to take for you to realise he doesn't know how to behave? What more? Like, think on the most recent visit. From the statement about the whitewash in the judiciary to the Joe Marler podcast, he proved he will never know how to behave. A spokesman for the King and for Harry declined to comment. Okay. Britney is the editor of the Royal News Network. Britney, am I going mad? Like, am I going mad? Am I the only one who actually thinks that having Prince Harry literally being the only member of the royal family to effectively make his home Buckingham Palace could actually end up becoming some type of existential crisis for the monarchy? If you want more hard-hitting Harry and Meghan coverage like this with the double standards called out, hit subscribe right now and turn on the notifications. Dan Wootton Outspoken has no spin, no bias, and no censorship.
I mean, Dan, this is just getting absolutely crazy when it comes to Harry and especially Charles. He just comes across as so incredibly weak here, indecisive, and unclear. Because one of the big things I have been talking about so endlessly is that you can have two sides here. There is the personal family side of things, where Charles, as a father, wants to connect with his son. We can all, from a human perspective, understand that. But there's also the dynastic one. And Charles is very unclear here where Harry stands on either side. And I think that's immensely damaging to the monarchy because Harry left. He threw a bag of lit doggy doo-doo on fire when he left at the same time. And so you have this just hugely chaotic figure in Harry. And Charles inviting him in, especially to Buckingham Palace, sort of seen as a seat of royal power, that just, I think, adds to the instability of the crown, which is already, I would argue, somewhat more unstable than it was when Queen Elizabeth was there. So this is not a good decision. I'm sure there is another residence where Harry could be and set up, but Harry is just this figure and this drain on the system that Charles does not need. He needs to make the separation clear that Harry is his son, yes, still always has a place within his family, yes. But when it comes to the crown and the monarchy, Harry and his children are gone, and that should be abundantly clear, and it is not.
King Charles has just made what royal commentators are calling an utterly insane decision, offering Prince Harry accommodation directly inside Buckingham Palace for his upcoming return to the United Kingdom. This is a massive shock move that has royal insiders, commentators, and palace observers raising serious red flags across the board. Just weeks after Prince Harry took aim at the British judiciary, slammed the media, and pressed forward with high-profile legal battles against the government, official reports confirm that he has been offered a room at the absolute heart and seat of the British monarchy for his visit this September. According to reports from The Sun's royal editor Matt Wilkinson, the offer was extended by the king directly as a high-profile olive branch. And sources close to the Sussexes indicate that Harry plans to accept it. But critics are asking, at what cost to the stability of the institution? From Prince William's long-standing fears over his father showing vulnerability to Harry, to Meghan Markle's deeply uncomfortable appearance on MasterChef Australia, we are diving into every single detail today. Prince Harry is slated to land in the UK in September to attend the annual Well Child Awards, a cause he has supported for years. During his last visit, Harry did not stay at a royal residence. However, this time, King Charles extended a formal invite for him to stay directly inside Buckingham Palace. Now, on paper, supporters of the Sussexes are framing this as a warm, redemptive father-son moment. They argue that Charles is an elderly monarch dealing with severe personal health challenges, and that any father in his position would naturally want to keep the door open for his younger son. However, media commentators and royal historians view it through a very different lens. Dan Wootton described the gesture as sheer madness, pointing out that Buckingham Palace isn't just a private home, it is the ultimate administrative and symbolic center of the British monarchy. Offering Harry a room inside the palace right after he issued statements criticizing British legal and governmental institutions sends a deeply conflicted message to the public.
Absolutely, Britney. And here's the reality. There is no need. There is no need for Harry to be at Buckingham Palace. It changes nothing. Think of all of the visits that he's made, Britney, where he has stayed at hotels. We don't know where. Hasn't been reported. No security risk. Lots of high-profile celebrities stay at those types of hotels. You could actually argue, Britney, in some ways they're safer and they're more private because they have underground car parks, which mean that it's possible to get in and get out without people seeing you. One of Harry's big issues in terms of Buckingham Palace, or what he claimed about Buckingham Palace last time, was that it would be very obvious when he was coming and going from the palace. And of course, the security, Britney, doesn't extend outside the palace. So you could argue it doesn't even make sense. So Charles is doing this for symbolic reasons. He's doing this to make a point. He's doing this to say Harry is back in the fold. He's blood. That was the briefing, isn't it? He is blood.
It was.
And he's also, I think, trying to dig out William and say, sorry, I'm in charge. I am in charge, and you might not want this, but I do. And I'm sorry, Brittany, when you talk about the instability of the monarchy, I mean, let's just get real about it. Yes, we don't want it. You know, we're royalists, we're monarchists. This is the thing. We're actually fighting to try and save the monarchy. I feel like I've been doing that with Prince Harry and Meghan for the past 8 years. But I'm like, Charles, do you not understand what's going on? Do you not look at the polls? Do you not look at the polls which show that actually the monarchy is in peril? And I'm not someone that spreads hate about the British monarchy and wants to cause trouble, but I'm just being very realistic, Brittany, looking at the polls, seeing the lack of support, and understanding that the king is about to go ahead with the decision that, again, let's just be brutal about it, the vast majority of the British public do not want. There is zero public desire, Britney, in this country for there to be any type of return for Prince Harry. Show me a poll, show me a focus group, show me any type of desire for that. So Charles is basically ignoring his people, ignoring his subjects. And I think a king or a queen who is already lacking in unpopularity does that at their peril. Let's think back to 1997. Queen Elizabeth II, hugely popular monarch. Right? Hugely popular, massively respected, loved, beloved. And guess what? Within a week, she changed her mind over Princess Diana, because that's how you have to listen to your people, to your subjects. No one is saying Charles can't have private meetings, but why the hell do you want to put this traitor into Buckingham Palace? It's nuts.
It is absolutely crazy, especially when you consider just, again, a week ago, Meghan Markle released a picture of the kids on Althorp going to Diana's grave. And so who's to say when it's going to be next that Meghan Markle is going to drop a series of pictures from inside Buckingham Palace, insecure areas that she should not be dropping? Harry and Meghan have proved endlessly that they cannot be trusted. And it's insane to bring them back in. They have proven they are unworthy of royalty. And when you look at all of Europe, I would say actually the two most unstable monarchies are Norway and shockingly the UK as well. And Norway's had a series of very, very damaging scandals, but the UK too, especially with the death of Queen Elizabeth, going through a transition period is always going to be rough. And I feel like Charles is just not making smart decisions here. He's leading with his heart instead of his head. And as a king, yes, you need to consider in some ways and empathize with others, but strong leadership usually requires some hurt feelings along the way. And I think Harry and Meghan have made their stance clear here. And the weird thing is Harry just obviously tried to do the thing in Hollywood, failed massively at it, and just was like, I'll just go back to doing this royal thing over here, as if it wasn't important, as if it wasn't a lifetime of service. And he's just basically actually devaluing the monarchy. Charles, by bringing Harry back in, devalues it and what it does, because it tells people the work of the monarchy is disposable, because Harry disposed of it and then sort of revived it out of the trash can. And so this whole thing is just a terrible message to send. Again, there's the personal side of the father and son. We all understand. We all, if they can reconcile, that's great on them. But Charles has to make a difference here between his role as a father and a king, and he's not doing it.
This brings us to the core tension within the royal household. The stark contrast between the role of a father and the duty of a king. Royal expert Britney highlighted on Outspoken that this move aligns directly with the exact scenario Prince William has feared for years, that King Charles would allow personal emotion to compromise dynastic firmness. Think back to how Queen Elizabeth II navigated institutional crises. When faced with severe controversy surrounding Prince Andrew, the late Queen took decisive, painful action to strip him of his official duties, military affiliations, and royal patronages to safeguard the long-term integrity of the crown. She drew an unmistakable line between family sympathy and institutional preservation. Critics argue Charles is blurring those exact lines. While Charles may want to reconcile privately, offering accommodation at Buckingham Palace is a highly public and symbolic act. It creates a narrative that Harry can step away from official duties, publicly critique the family and state institutions on global platforms, and still be granted premier access to royal headquarters whenever he visits.
Absolutely. And it's like, look, this is not a guy who's done himself any favors, I would argue. I mean, think about his big media appearance during his time in the country where he was joking about his pubic hair and gay sex and defecating himself. And that's who we want to stay at Buckingham Palace. Weird. Totally weird. Okay, Brittany, the other big story overnight, we finally got this Meghan Markle MasterChef Australia appearance. I'm going to be honest with you, it was worse than what I thought it was going to be. There were more car crash moments. I've been looking at your coverage too, Brittany. So let's get into it, because we obviously do this, Brittany, so other people don't have to watch. Don't give her the ratings.
Exactly.
We have watched it all.
We're going through
bad.
the misery.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to bring you the lowlights, because trust me, there's a lot of lowlights. I mean, even the Times newspaper in the UK giving this a terrible review. I want to show you first, Brittany, how Meghan Markle was looking at Poe, okay? Because this is the MasterChef judge who's quite beloved. And there was this feud between the two of them, and they couldn't actually edit it out. Like, it was so obvious, the negativity between these two women. And there are a couple of mask slip moments, Brittany. I know you picked up on this too. Firstly, when Meghan had to taste her banana. Princess Carparkle writing, Meghan Markle was absolutely not a Poe fan. I feel bad for Poe. She was just being nice and friendly, trying to make the Duchess feel welcome. She's a big personality, and I think Meghan just didn't like it one bit. She needs to be the most important and noticed woman in the room, and this just didn't work for her. British royalties revealing that MasterChef had to cut scenes with Poe and Meghan Markle over personality differences. It's a very polite way of saying Meghan's impossible to work with. Poe tried a few jokes, but they landed like lead. Meghan has zero sense of humour, can't laugh at herself, and is very awkward. The tension was so thick, they had to leave it on the cutting room floor. That's the real behind the scenes. And Britney, this was your take. Meghan Markle clearly hating the banana bread Poe Ling Yao made for her, not to mention knowing that she's completely outclassed compared to the rinky-dink banana bread she made back in 2018. She couldn't fake it. She could not fake it. She hated that banana bread and she wanted us to know it, but then she had to pretend. By the way, can I also just say, Britney, while you come in on that, can we just look at Meghan? I'm sorry to do this to you, actually. But I mean, this is not the type of woman we wanted a state banquet, put it that way. But anyway, Britney, what did you make of that moment?
Oh man, that was one I was really shocked. Meghan could not even for a second pretend to like this. It was written all over her face. She actually gets called out for this later, and it was just so incredibly obvious that she hated it. And I'm sure that banana bread was absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's not a lot of ways you can make banana bread bad. And Poe is a chef. She's an actual person who works in a kitchen, unlike Meghan. And so I'm sure it was unbelievably fantastic. And I think Meghan felt in that moment, and I'm sure there was a lot of tension throughout the day because Meghan Markle was not only just amateur, but just like she looked like a child who had no clue what she was talking about the entire time. And I feel like the more she felt that, the more she felt out of place and outclassed. Meghan just had to react in ways and try to kind of pull down the other judges because she was frustrated that, of course, she's not the star sometimes, that some people do things better than she does. And Meghan just can't handle that. She cannot react well to it at all. And she's an actress, but she was always a bad actress. And you can see now why the suggestion for Meghan, which is from Tom Bower's book, to go and actually do plays, like off-Broadway plays, to develop her acting skills might have helped her a bit there because she cannot act to save her life.
No, and she was called out, and we will come to that moment, Britney. But just before we do, there was another moment where she really didn't act well. And it's when she tried to do that thing insisting that she didn't want to be called a duchess, right? Just call me Meghan. But it's so obvious that she does want to be called a duchess. I mean, let's just remember for a moment, this is the woman who literally in an apartment in New York City where there's like two people, has a staff member working for another rich person introduce her as the Duchess of Sussex. She wants to be called Duchess, okay? But she had to try and pretend. Presumably this is where the hatred of Poe started from, because she should have not asked. She should have just called her Duchess.
And it's funny, Dan, as you go throughout the show, they mention Duchess quite a bit. You almost get the sense after a while they're kind of mocking her about it, not really being serious about it. And that clip you're going to show, I know what they're going to do. And it's just so incredibly obvious that they just don't have really much respect for her. They were trying their best to be professional, but the Duchess became the butt of the joke pretty quickly. And they were doing it in such a way where Meghan probably didn't pick up on it. But to me, it seemed like they were totally trolling her.
Yeah, let's look at this moment, Britney.
Yes.
Duchess is first, I feel.
Be rude not to.
Very good. That's a terrible poker face. Oh.
Oh my God, she really wasn't happy. Britney, you wrote that is the exact same poker face that Meghan pulled after tasting Poe's banana bread. And you say this acknowledges that they know Meghan was faking, and badly. I don't know what Meghan was thinking with this appearance. She is clearly way, way out of her depth. And it was quite a telling moment, wasn't it? Because she was mad that she was called out. And you always see with Meghan, there's a split-second moment when you can see the anger and the horror in her face. But then she's like, I'm on camera. Oh, shit, I've got to laugh. I've got to laugh. I've got to pretend that I'm okay with that. But we see that moment where it's very obvious that she's not okay with it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so hilarious. Again, Duchess is first. I feel again like Sophia is mocking her. Sophia, sorry, is mocking her. She's 100% mocking her. And it's such subtle in a way where it's not too incredibly obvious. But looking at Meghan and going, your poker face slipped. It's just a complete and utter acknowledgement that they know she's faking. They know she has no clue what she's tasting, how it should taste, or anything like that. She is completely out of her depth, and they're totally aware of it. They're totally aware she can't act. She's not really all that in some ways good on camera because she can't really make fun of herself. She can't engage in the way most normal people do. The whole thing came across as incredibly contrived. And of course, it was over the top in how they had to refer to her. One guy kind of referenced her as like talking to your first crush or something like that. And I can't imagine how often that was the producers asking, hey, can you say this? Because Meghan's PR team is whispering in their ears going, she must be the best. She must be the greatest. She must be the most amazing person ever. And so they're pushing this and it comes across and it just falls completely flat. And Meghan being obviously so incredibly out of her depth here and so incredibly not a chef. It just is really, really jarring and really shows how much everything about With Love Meghan, the brand as ever, is completely and utterly fake. This was, I think, a catastrophically dumb decision by Meghan Markle's PR team to put her on this.
And of course, everything with Meghan Britney is designed to show, oh, she's a nice person because she has to act as if she's something she's not. So, you know, in MasterChef, it's very usual that the host, it's not a mean or a cruel thing to do, just calls out how much time is left. You know, you've got 45 minutes left. It's not like a bad or a nasty thing. But when Meghan was asked to do that, she saw an opportunity to sort of try and suggest that this is the caring Duchess. According to Taz posted on that, okay, this was the part that pissed me off. Meghan was meant to shout 30 minutes, but instead insisted she would tell them personally. Firstly, that makes the contestants lose precious time. And secondly, it was about giving herself maximum airtime and exposure strutting about. What did you think, Britney?
Oh man, she came across to me as totally and completely flirting there with all the guys. It was completely unprofessional.
That's not a surprise either, is it?
It's not. And it's like, did Harry watch this? Did he watch her flirt with all those guys? Like it didn't come across as professional at all. It came across as flirty and touchy-feely and very, very weird. And that she had to at least twice say, well, I'm telling you personally, it just came across as so incredibly faked and forced. This was the most fake appearance. And she's also trying to deflect from the bullying allegations.
Yeah.
Although if you've read a lot of them,
that's what I think it's about.
She doesn't tend to actually yell. She's just incredibly nasty to you in different ways.
Yeah,
she does not yell.
Exactly. It's
the looks. It's the backstabbing. It's the behind the scenes.
And
that's
nothing
what she
being
does.
good
and
enough.
so,
The demands. Can I show you my most awkward moment of this? So the way that this was headlined by the mainstream media was Meghan sort of talking about the fact that Harry still loves his meat and potatoes. But what actually shocked me, because can we just remember, this is a woman who has a lifestyle brand, who has a cooking show and is appearing on another cooking show. And when she is asked to choose what she cooks for her family, it's immediately obvious she doesn't because she has no idea how to answer. It's honestly really mortifying, I thought, this moment. Watch. So she don't cook. Like, you know, she makes dips, doesn't she? Like there's another moment where she's doing like a pesto like thing. She doesn't cook meals. That is abundantly clear.
It really is, Dan. There was another instance too where it was, I think, a different conversation, and Poe actually kind of finishes the sentence for Meghan because she knows Meghan has no clue what to say. And it's again about what would you cook from your family out of the items that Meghan has chosen for these chefs to utilize. And Meghan can't really come up with anything except for a sauce, like a pesto sauce. And so Meghan Markle is not in the kitchen and she doesn't cook for her family.
That's the moment I mean.
Yes. Yeah. And Poe goes, she does something, but you can tell Poe is totally aware that Meghan does not cook. She doesn't cook for her family. She maybe can make a dish of pasta or something, and very simply. And that's about it. And so Meghan is just stalling for time, trying desperately to think of something because I don't think she cooks for her family. I don't think she cooks for her kids. I'm sure she has the nanny do it. Maybe she makes something from time to time, but Meghan has said multiple times in interviews she likes to take out and plate it beautifully. And so that's what I think Meghan and Harry do pretty much all the time, or Meghan does. And she gets frozen things out of the freezer for her kids, chicken nuggets and tater tots. And so and we also saw she gave them like frozen Eggo waffles while she made her own waffle way back on St. Patrick's Day, but last year. And so this, again, is proof number 265 that Meghan Markle does not cook and yet stupidly has a cooking show and a cooking brand. So it's totally. No wonder but As Ever isn't selling.
She's such a misery, Britney. She's such a misery because apparently the kids have to go out and forage for their own dessert. Are we buying that?
No, not at all. I mean, there were so many lies and exaggerations and stuff that Meghan did on that show. She could not come across as more fake. And again, I think Poe and especially Sophia, we didn't see the other judge quite as much, but they completely and utterly picked up on Meghan after a while. I think they were, they obviously had to be gracious and in on the joke a bit, but I think they were totally aware that, hey, this woman is completely and utterly fake here. And that Meghan tells the kids to go forage for their own food, I think is very indicative of Meghan Markle's cooking style, which is basically that somebody else is going to take care of the things and she doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to serve. She even talked about hostessing, like she wanted to make sure it was relaxing for people. I've seen my mom host for 30 plus years. There's nothing relaxing about hosting because you're in the kitchen constantly keeping up with all the meals. So Meghan is just a complete and utter liar on this front, and she has no clue what she's doing. And I think this show laid that out completely.
On top of the symbolic concerns, observers point to practical risks regarding security and media access. With Meghan Markle recently sharing photos from Althorpe near Princess Diana's resting place, royal commentators question whether granting access to private areas of Buckingham Palace invites potential privacy breaches or future commercialized storytelling. While Harry's UK travel plans dominated political and royal headlines, Meghan Markle made headlines of her own following a guest appearance on MasterChef Australia. The appearance was intended to showcase her warmth, approachability, and connection to her culinary brand, but media outlets quickly branded the episode a PR misfire. Reviewers and commentators pointed out intense, palpable awkwardness between Meghan and Judge Po Ling Yao. Viewers highlighted moments where Meghan's reactions appeared rigid, particularly when judging dishes or reacting to playful banter from the hosts. Rather than coming across as a natural lifestyle host, commentators noted that Meghan appeared hyper-aware of the cameras. In one notable sequence, instead of announcing time calls out loud to the room as is standard format for the show, Meghan insisted on walking up to individual contestants to deliver time warnings personally, which critics described as an attempt to maximize individual camera screen time rather than assist the show's flow. The most widely discussed moment of the episode occurred when Meghan was asked a straightforward question by the judges: "What is your favorite dish to cook for your family at home?" For someone launching a dedicated lifestyle brand centered around home cooking and entertaining, you would expect a quick, passionate answer detailing a signature recipe. Instead, Meghan paused and offered a generalized answer about needing to appease multiple palates, mentioning that Harry prefers traditional meat and potatoes with cream sauce while she prefers California-style grilled dishes and fresh herbs from the garden. Dan Wootton and royal commentators seized on this response, arguing it revealed a disconnect between her public brand identity and actual daily routine. Critics argue that these public appearances continue to underline a recurring issue for the Sussexes, a gap between high-production PR branding and authentic execution. Whether we look at King Charles offering Buckingham Palace to Prince Harry or Meghan's television appearances in Australia, one thing is abundantly clear. The strategy surrounding the Sussexes' relationship with the royal family remains deeply divided and highly controversial. What is your take on this whole situation? Should King Charles draw a firm line to protect the monarchy, or is he making the right call by extending an olive branch to his son? Sound off in the comments below. I read every single thought you leave down there. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you stay fully updated on all things royal.